CQ. Well, CQ calling. CQ, the Old Friends Net. The Old Friends Net is an AM net that meets here every Thursday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock a.m. and Sundays at 4 p.m. here on 3715 KC. The Old Friends Net is open to anybody that would like to check in, as long as you're running Amplitude Modulation. We don't care what you're running. We like to hear the oldies, the old vintage tubey rigs. So, those wishing to check in, give me a call.
Good morning, Steve. WA4LLR.
WB4ARK. KN4R.
K4JAL.
WB4NKL.
W4MEC.
Okay, here's what I've got. WA4LLR. Dave. WB4ARK. Buddy. Oh, I know what it is. Excuse me. Let's go back. LLR, KN4R, and then WB4ARK, and then K4JAL, Jim, and WB4NKL, Cliff, and W4MEC, Charlie. Do we have any more check-ins?
N4QR.
All right, recognizing N4QR, Bob. Good morning, glad to have you, Bob. Anybody else? All right, everybody's coming in here real good. All right, here's the check-in lineup for the round table. LLR, 4R, ARK, JAL, NKL, MEC, and N4QR, Bob. And for you guys that don't know Bob, he's been with us for a long time on 160. He's over in Maiden, North Carolina, and I'm glad to have him here on AM. So I'll stand by one more time for check-ins. N4LQ listening. All right, nothing heard. So the net usually lasts for close to an hour. We have a smaller group today, so not sure how long it'll last. And we plan on, after the net, approximately 5 minutes after the net, to do the CW version of this thing and see how that goes. So we would like to invite anybody that's left to hang around, and we'll go over to CW, and we should hear some good chirps and hums and squawks. So anyhow, I'm running the DX-60, and I'm driving the AL811 to about 100 watts AM here, and the receiver's an HQ140 and the horizontal loop antenna. So let's pass it around to Dave, WA4LLR, N4LQ.
Alrighty. N4LQ and the Old Friends, WA4LLR. Good morning on this toasty January the 9th. Good to be on board with you. Good signals all the way around. And Steve, the DX-60 sounds really good. Let's see. It's pretty much clear skies up here, breezy, maybe even a little bit windy. And the analog thermometer says 9 degrees, and the digital says 11, I think. Somewhere in that ballpark, it's chilly. Running the Johnson 500 and receiving on the HQ 180. So Brian, down to you, KN4R, WA4LLR.
Okay, Dave. Very good. Good morning to everybody. WA4LLR and the old friends, Brian, KN4R, Cheryl's Ford, where it's sunny, clear, and 20 degrees. And I'm doing pretty good for having woken up 7 minutes ago and no coffee yet. But I didn't blow the rig up, so that's good. And I'm on the Globe Champ and listening on the Australian HRO. So over to you, buddy. WB4ARK in the group. KN4R.
KN4R. WB4ARK. Okay, Brian. Well, we're on the KWS-1 today. And looks like we're running about 100 watts to the antenna. And so with that, actually, I'm not sure exactly. Looks like my audio is clipping here, but the output watts does not indicate that, so we'll go with that. The weather here was 18 degrees, and we're looking for some snow to come into the area very soon. So we will be excited to see that. I'm not sure exactly how much we're supposed to get. Probably an inch or two. So with that, we'll turn it over to K4JAL, WB4ARK.
WB4ARK, K4JAL. I'm on ART13 this morning, listening on the SDR console. Happy to be alive at 12 degrees. I was going to go over to the hideout and get on the AF68 this morning, but decided not to. It's too cold. I'm scared to go over there anyway. I'm afraid I didn't crack the tap on my water, and I'm afraid I might have a freeze up. Furnace is on, but it's mighty cold. Over to you, Charlie, W4MEC, K4JAL.
I believe I'm next. WB4NKL goes to Cliff. Sorry, Jimmy. Yeah, I'm in the house running the Morrow twins. Just running about 30 watts here, looks like. So not up to the usual signal, I don't guess. Buddy, the audio sounded good. I didn't catch exactly what you were running, but the audio sounds good. And all the signals are coming in good. Good to have Bob in here, N4QR. And talked to him a few times on 160. Kind of cold out in my shack, so I guess I'm stuck here in the house for a while on whatever I can get a signal out of. Let's see, 13 degrees. And it's not supposed to get above freezing for about a week or so. So I guess it's winter time. 3 to 6 inches of snow they're calling for here tomorrow, starting in tomorrow evening. So winter time's here. So go ahead, Charlie. W4MEC, WB4NKL.
Okay. WB4NKL in the group W4MEC. Real good. Yeah, sorry to get in there. For some reason I thought Jimmy turned it over to me. Hey, it's 16 degrees here, and all my thermometers apparently are agreeing for a change, even the one over by my heat pump. But the interesting thing about that is it doesn't run when it's this cold. I mean, he's burning natural gas, not natural gas, propane, when it gets this cold, when the outside unit doesn't even bother to come on. So that's good. But anyway, we're doing okay here. And let's see, I got a brand new set of tires put on my Suburban yesterday and had heart failure after the price of them. And got 62,000 out of the last set. I've been running the same type of Michelin tires on it since we got the truck. So and got 62,000 out of this set. So I guess I can't complain. But they were expensive. So anyway, I guess that's just the way it is in today's economy. But anyway, we got a good shop, and they actually gave us a little discount. So that's the big expense. I don't know if I'm going to make the CW part. I got several things to do right after the net, and if I did, I've never actually. Well, I know the VFO drifts on this. On 75 meters on this Apache, it drifts a little bit, and I know it has a good CW note, but I don't know if I'm going to make it today or not. So I was thinking, I heard that you were going to do the net in the evening and not right after this, so I hadn't anticipated getting ready for it. So maybe next time, but we'll see. All right, so down to old Bob, N4QR, and the old friends W4MEC.
This is N4QR. Well, I'm copying everybody pretty clearly here, even though I have some noise, considerable noise, but everybody's coming in very clearly. This is about the second time I've ever tried AM on this Jupiter transceiver. I don't have room to add any AM transmitter or anything here. Just going to have to use this thing. But I do have a small homebrew 2-tuber that operates on 3710 kilohertz, and it puts out about 12 or 13 watts. And so I've tested it this morning. It looks like it's going to work. And so maybe y'all can broaden your selectivity or something. Or turn your rig on CW and use the VFO button. Anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. Back to you, Steve. This is N4QR.
All right, it's a pleasure to have you, Bob, and the Jupiter sounds good, and you're doing fine. Let's see if there's anybody else that'd like to check in. N4LQ is listening. Okay, well, that was a good round, and we've got a Viking 500, a DX-60, a Globe Champion 350, and a Collins KWS1 at Buddy's house, and I'm listening on the HQ140, so I didn't hear much difference, but I could see it up on the SDR. I could see the lower sideband AM and no upper sideband, and a couple of times when we had a certain kind of fade, the carrier faded and the sideband did not. I could hear it sort of went into a sidebandish type sound. That's the characteristic of you get, I guess, when you don't have both sidebands. It opens up the possibility for more selective fading, I guess. But other than that, it sounds just fine on the 140. But let's see, Jim, on the ART13, sounding good in the house, and I sure hope your pipes didn't freeze up. And 9 degrees, and man, Dave, I can't believe it. It's 21 here in Shelby. It sure is a big difference. Cliff, you're running low power, but I don't know what. You might tell us what that rig is. but coming through just fine. I can tell you're not, up to your superpower standards on the S meter, but you still sound good. And Charlie, I assume you're on the Apache, the TX1, and I can always tell that rig when you kick the transmitter on. I can hear your switch flip, ding. It sounds good. I like that. And okay, on the tires, 62,000 is pretty good for any kind of tire. I got Michelin's on both my cars. I gave up on everything else. I have trouble getting tires balanced, and I don't like shaky, vibrating cars. And I went through several brands on the truck until I finally just gave up, and I said, take those things off and put Michelin's on. And yeah, it cost a little more, but it's worth it to me. And let's see, I think that's about to wrap it up here on this go around. So let's go for another round and see what we can stir up. This DX-60, it puts out about 9 watts or 10 watts or so carrier, so it's not very strong without the amplifier. And the amplifier can only squeeze another bit, so we're up to 100, but the modulation percentage is like 150%. So I'm looking at the PEP, it's 800, yep, 830 watts. I mean, it's just huge compared to the carrier, 100 watts carrier, and not 4 times, but more like more like 8 times. It's crazy. So over to you, Dave, WA4LLR, N4LQ.
Okay, Steve, fine business, N4LQ, WA4LLR. I believe this is the first time I can remember that we don't have 2 similar rigs on the net. You got the DX-60, I'm running the 500. Brian's running the Globe Champ. Buddy's running the Collins, KWS-1. Jimmy's running the RT-13. Cliff's running the Morrow Twins. Charlie's running the Heathkit Apache, and Bob's running the Jupiter. No 2 similar rigs. That just I've not seen that before in all the times I've checked in that I remember. That's pretty cool. Everybody sounds great. Cliff, you're peaking 40 over here with the Morrow Twins, so man, band is wonderful this morning. Yeah, 9 degrees. I found that to be right chilly, Steve, when took the dog out about 6 o'clock this morning. So it didn't take him long to decide, no, I don't want to be out here. In my search for the elusive source of the ignition noise, I took N4OZI's advice and I bought one of those tiny spectrum analyzers. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as I got the spectrum analyzer, the noise that had been constant for 2 weeks decided to go away. And now it sporadically makes a little bit and then it's gone. So maybe that's the secret. You just keep something around to hunt it with, and it stays gone as long as you've got it. I'll take it. I don't care. On this, let's see. Space weather today is pretty quiet. Sunspot number is 113. Solar flux index is 160, and the planetary K is 2.67. It's kind of quiet. A few items from this day in history. On this day in 1493, Columbus mistook manatees for mermaids. I think he'd been at sea too long. On this day in 2001, Apple launched iTunes. On this day in 2007, Steve Jobs debuted the iPhone. On this day in 1768, the first modern circus was staged. On this day in 1945, the United States invaded Luzon in the Philippines. On this day in 1887, record cold and snow decimated cattle herds out in the Great Plains. They said for 16 hours they got an inch of snow an hour, and some of the farmers in the northern area recorded temperatures of 63 below zero. So the modern winters are much more to my preference. So that's about enough for that. Anyway, here we go around again. Brian, here it comes, and boy, that Globe Champ 350 sounds wonderful. KN4R, WA4LLR.
Okay, Dave, WA4LLR, and the old friends, Brian, KN4R, returning. Well, I'll tell you, I was just sitting here admiring your 500 signal, Dave. It's just wonderful down here. And I'm just trying to get used to this S-meter on this other Australian rig, but luckily it does work. It just doesn't, it's all like PEP. It's all, it's constantly moving. There's no, doesn't show carrier for some reason, but that's okay. But great on the history. And Jimmy, good luck on the dripping pipes. Even though our house is like 16 years old, I've got 3 or 4 sinks dripping, and all the doors open to the underneath the sinks and that kind of things, and it seems to fingers crossed so far. And Dave, congratulations on your noise going away for the most part. Sounds like the same thing I say about a generator. If you have one, you won't need it. So that's why I bought my last one. So, but I'm like Charlie, I'm going to go out and get some gas and make sure it works today, just in case. So, buddy, that KWS-1 sounds marvelous over here. So take it away. WB4ARK in the group. KN4R.
KN4R. WB4ARK. Okay, Brian. Well, thank you very much for the report on the KWS-1. We're running about a kilowatt peak output. That's pretty good for the input. And so weather here is clear. It's not a cloud in the sky right now, and we will a little breezy out there, not too bad. So we will see what we see come tomorrow. I think we'll see some precipitation, but exactly what we don't know yet. It could be snow, it could be freezing rain. But they say it's going to start off as snow and then change to freezing rain. I hate that, but that's the way it's going to be, possibly. Not too much else going on here. We decided to power up the KWS-1 and get it loaded into the dummy load and see how it functions. So I didn't have any problems, except I tuned it and overloaded it to start with, which is easy to do unless you keep an eye on your output. Everybody's signal is very good today. It's very quiet band, and everybody has a exceptionally good signal. So maybe that's and Dave, I thought you were going to kill the power in the house and see if that was a source of your noise. It sounds to me like you might have a bad insulator, possibly a lightning arrestor, but I've experienced a lot of noise like that over the years. Thank goodness we're in an area that does not have issues like that. Everything is underground right around the house in this neighborhood, and it's several hundreds of yards before you get to an overhead power line, although that can still cause issues with amateur radios. It will transfer the energy through the air at least 500 or 600 yards. I had an issue in Charlotte that happened, and it was difficult to find it, but it turned out to be a bad insulator. So with that, we'll turn it over to Jim. K4JAL, WB4ARK.
WB4ARK, K4JAL. Very good, buddy. Very interesting signal on the fan adapter. Station on up at 3723, when he broadcasts big time, he interferes. I'll narrow the band down next time, see if he leaves it alone. But KWS-1 is a great rig from what I understand. I think old N4YN's got one of those. I'll have to go over there and get him to show me about it. It's bigger than a house. Over to you, Cliff. I didn't miss you this time. W4NKL, K4JAL.
Okay, Jimmy, that's quite all right. K4JAL, WB4NKL. Yeah, you have to check out that KWS one. I had one time and passed it on to Ham down in Georgia. But that's part of the Gold Dust twins, they called them. So good to have. And that one sounds excellent, buddy. Steve, I'm running Morrow twins. It's the transmitter's a MB560 and the receiver's a MBR5. And everybody's coming in. I guess the band conditions are good. Everybody's booming in here on them today. That noise can be a bear to chase down sometimes. I had it here several years ago, and I ended up as a pole about a half mile from my house. I was first trying to find it with the car radio, and it was wiping out the AM broadcast band for a 2-mile radius. But finally, on the VHF radio, got it down to the pole, and the power company come on out and repaired it. But they can be quite noisy. So on to you, Charlie. W4MEC, WB4NKL.
Hey, Cliff, WB4NKL and group W4MEC. Yeah, that's kind of interesting there about hearing the switch snap there, Steve. I mean, I throw normally I throw the antenna first. I have gone backwards, but when I make that mistake, I get deafened by feedback because my mute switch is part of my manual antenna switch. So I throw that, and I throw the switch. So that means the carrier comes up and gets to you before the sound of the switch snapping basically goes away inside of my shack. So I guess that proves that radio waves are faster than the speed of sound. So anyway, all right. Well, I haven't been out yet, and when my one cat that is allowed to go out sniffed the air and turned around and came back in. So he said, "No way, Jose," and cat talk there. So anyway, and I do need to get some. I got a full tank of propane for my generator. I like to run mine on propane, and it runs for about 3.5 days before you got to fill it up. And that, of course, I shut it down at night, and I don't let it run 24/7. But I'm going to go get some gas olein and a couple tanks of that, just in case, and I'll run out of propane. But I don't think it's going to be too terrible. We got a work day scheduled at the gun club this weekend, and they're panicking about that. And it's down in Columbus, so but they're predicting 1 to 3 inches of snow and ice down there. So, but they're predicting. And when you look at different factors, it may or may not happen yet. So they have updated it to starting around here about 1 in the morning, Friday morning, which is tonight sometime. So we'll see if they're right or not. When I look at the weather radar and the satellite, I'd say they're wrong. But they get paid to make those decisions, and nobody pays me to guess. So, so we'll see what happens. But and I have cleared a spot in my shop for my kerosene heater, and I got a brand new wick for it about a year ago. So I'm going to put that in today. And I went and bought some kerosene, and talk about the price of tires. I do not know why kerosene costs as much as it does. And I kind of had heart failure just filling 1 5-gallon can. But all of the gas and oil or kerosene, heating oils, everything for Hendersonville comes from South Carolina. And it used to come from, it does come from the tank farm in Spartanburg. But the tank farm several years ago quit carrying kerosene for some reason, and all the kerosene comes out of, I think it's Charleston, wherever the tank farm is down on the coast, along the coast of South Carolina. So that might be the driving force of why it's so expensive. But then again, maybe I need to shop around. But this place I've been buying kerosene from this place forever. And it usually was a little more expensive than gasoline, but not this much more expensive. So anyway, we'll have to shop around perhaps. So, but then I'll get some heat out there, and maybe I can get out there to work out there in the shop when it's cold like this before May gets here. So we'll see. Over to Bob again. N4QR. You're sounding good up here, Bob. W4MEC.
N4QR. Well, I'm glad I'm sounding pretty good. It's 24 degrees here. I'm roughly 40 miles east of Shelby and exactly 40 miles north of Charlotte and about 40 miles southeast of the mountains here in Maiden. And anyway, my noise seems like it's increasing some here this morning, but I'm copying everybody loud and clear. And it's clear skies, of course. I don't know if it's any wind out there or not. It looks like it might be a breeze. And, of course, that would be a mean breeze if you were outdoors. But anyway, that's the way it goes here. Back to you, Steve, N4QR.
Roger, Bob. Okay, N4QR in the group N4LQ. All right, so that's interesting. All these different rigs. Let's see if anybody else wants to check in real late. N4LQ's listening. I didn't hear anything. Well, let's see. Most of these rigs are from the 50s, I believe. I think the DX-60 is probably the newest of the youngest, I guess, of the tube type rigs here, which this thing came out in the 60s. And let's see, the Viking 500, the Champ, the Collins, all from the 50s, I believe. ART-13 was probably early in World War II, I guess, somewhere in the 40s, early 40s, or maybe middle of World War II. Not sure. airplane transmitter, I do believe. And if the bombs didn't work, they threw out ART-13s. Let's see, and the Morrow Twins, another 50s special, mobile rigs. I just can imagine putting that stuff in a modern car. And the TX-1 Apache from the 50s. You know, it's just amazing, this noise. I don't remember ever having power line noise back in the 60s, the 70s, or maybe even the 80s. I don't, and then it just seems like all of a sudden everybody's starting to have it. Now maybe it's just something I just never had, but that, I just don't remember that. And I had every reason to have plenty of it, but living for a while, lived right in the middle of a crowded neighborhood in Louisville, and power lines, and I guess the things just got old along with us and started arcing or something. I don't know. And then all this cable TV, when it came in, it produced some noise. And of course, TV sets in general used to produce noise when they were on. They didn't travel too far, but the horizontal oscillator would put out a racket. You could pick it up on certain spots, on 80 meters especially. But it's just really great to hear all the different rigs here today. And Charlie, I've thought about this now. That's interesting you brought that up about that switch snapping, how we can hear that sometimes. And I think that maybe I can hear, well, I was going to say I can hear the switch before you do, but the sound has to travel from my speaker to my ears, and it has to travel from your switch to your ears, so I guess probably comes out about the same. I guess so. Anyway, the weatherman's saying 3.2 inches of snow for Shelby, and he has been saying that all week on Weather Underground, my favorite weather checker. And it's usually right. And all these other places, Weather Channel and AccuWeather and all that, have just been saying, oh, possibility of wet, mushy, this and that, and a little bit of the spitting ice or something. But for all week, Weather Underground has said, well, they were up to 4 inches at one time. They backed it down to 3.2. So, I don't know. My dogs will have to make their way down the stairs to the backyard. That's the only thing I don't like. I'll have to get out there and shovel it off for them anyway. And it's a dangerous project. Anyway, I better bring a shovel up here. So after the net, hang around and got to turn the BFO on, switch a bunch of switches. Takes me a minute here to transfer over to CW mode with all this junk, but that's okay. And the DX-60 has the advantage of a digital BFO, so it'll be right on frequency. And I'll just call CQ OFN, OFriendsNet, OFN, and I'll say QND. The CW nets use a QN code, and QND means the net is directed. So I'll call CQ, and I'll ask for QNI, which is check-ins, QNI. So you just send the last part of your call, just the same way we do the OFriendsNet. Just send well, send your entire call. And that's all. Just send your call, and I'll get it. I'll acknowledge you and say next, and somebody else can send theirs, and so forth. And then if there's more than one station, hopefully there'll be a couple or several. The more, the better. So we'll take it from there. Anyway, it'll be fun. And over to you, Davey. WA4LLR, N4LQ.
Break KZ, 4 Bravo breaking.
Oh, hello there, John. KZ4B, yeah. KZ4B. You're going to come after Bob in 4QR. So, Bob, you'll turn it over to John and then back to me. Go ahead, Dave.
All righty. Good morning to you, John. Been some marvelous signals this morning. Man, everybody is just booming in up here. Pleasure to listen to, but you know, as soon as I said that about that noise, it started back up. So this morning it comes and it goes. It's in there for a few minutes and then it goes away. And buddy, in answer to your question, I did pull the breaker on the house, main breakers, and fired up one of the rigs with a battery, the Kenwood, and the noise was still there. So unfortunately, it was not in the house. I would have preferred that immensely. So I'm going to have to go in search of a little direction finding and sleuthing and see if I can pinpoint the miscreant. But we shall see. Don't have anything set up on CW this morning other than solid state, but I think I'll listen for a little bit and see how it goes. See if Steve can actually function below 30 words a minute. But I'll try to do better in the future. Steve, thanks for calling it. Everybody have a great day. Stay warm. And make sure, as the old saying is, you get your milk and bread today. 7-3 and God bless. KN4R, WA4LLR.
Okay, Dave. Very good. WA4LLR in the group. KN4R. Well, Charlie, on that switch, I was listening. You know, Jim K4EDK always liked to talk about his static eliminator, and of course, when he threw his switch, you could hear it, and then all you heard was carrier because he was always running at least a KW. And but yours sounds good. Not quite up to K4EDK standards here, but you know, close enough. And okay, on the kerosene being expensive, I wonder if it's more expensive than ethanol-free gas or what. So I haven't bought it in years and years and years. And okay, on 3.2 inches expected in Shelby, Steve. And I remember the TV noise in the radio. It seems like the color burst crystal used to mess up, was it 20 meters? I forget. But anyway, it's been great here. I'm going to try to hang in there for the CW net here. And I know Bob, N4QR, that's the main attraction for him. But he sure does sound good on AM here, and I hope he comes back. So, and good morning to you, John, KZ4B. So, over to you, buddy. WB4ARK in the group, KN4R.
KN4R, WB4ARK. Okay, Brian. Well, this unit was a SAC unit, so it only had 5 bands allocated to it, and one was 11 megahertz, and that band was the last one you came to on the dial. So it was a challenge to get everything transferred over to work on AM. It had some significant issues in the power supply. Someone had robbed the capacitors, and the choke had a shorted turn, outside turn. Now that was the saving grace for that choke. It had shorted to one of the standoffs that held it in place. I was able to fix it and get it resurrected. And of course, that was one of the mods that was done on KWS-1s, was to insulate or change those standoff rods. They were probably about 10 inches long, came from the base of the unit, came up and went through the top frame of the choke. So that was the issue there. There was other problems with the unit, and so I got all that resurrected. Learned a lot about the KWS-1 in the process, and it's a very good transmitter. It's a very solid built, very significant power supply. Brian had one, and this was owned by Marty Reynolds, which also owned the 32V3 that I have. So Marty was out of Atlanta, passed away a number of years ago, and when I found it, the first time I went to the Ham Fest outside of Atlanta, I found this unit. I didn't know who it belonged to, but then after I got back, I found out that it had belonged to Marty. So the next week, I called the junk guy that was handling the sale of it and worked out a deal with him, and I went down and picked it up. Took my wife's Honda SUV, and it fit right in there. So we brought it back and started to work on it. Yes, it's a pretty good unit. I've really had no problems since I got it going, and I'm very pleased to have it, but I would part with it. So with that, we'll turn it over to Jim, and I'll say 73 and thanks for calling the net, Dave, and I hope you folks don't get snowed in up there too bad, but I think it's going to be a heavy snow for you folks. So K4JAL, WB4ARK.
WB4ARK, K4JAL. Well, good morning, buddy. That's a good sounding rig. I think those were originally just sideband and you had to modify it. Is that what's going on? Of course, you're gone now. We're supposed to get 4 to 6 inches according to our harebrained WLOS. No telling what we'll get. I hope it's not that much. I don't care for snow anymore. I quit skiing years ago after I blew out my knee. I'm going to get on out of here and go check my pipes. I hope things are well for me over there, and I'd hang around and listen to the Morse, but it'd be like listening to Chinese. I wouldn't be able to recognize anybody's fist. So over to you, Cliff, WB4NKL, K4JAL 73.
Yeah, K4JAL, it's WB4NKL. Yeah, they're calling for 3 to 6 inches here, and Steve said the weather underground for here was about 4, so they may be correct. I'll listen in for the CW. I don't have a key for this Morrow transmitter. It don't have a CW position on it, but it's got a key jack in the back, so I'm sure it will run CW, but I'll have to try that another time. Don't want to go out in the 13-degree weather to hunt a key. It's up to 17, heat wave coming along, so that's good. I'd like to see it get up a little warmer. 73s, I enjoyed it. Thanks for calling it, Steve, and try to listen on the CW portion. W4MEC, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff. W4NKL in the group, W4MEC. Steve, before you shut the thing down, remind me of that CW frequency again. And let's see. I got another rejection letter from ARRL. They did not like my April Fool's article. They've become very stiff-necked up there and no sense of humor. And I thought it was pretty funny. I'm going to send it to Electric Radio, see if Ray will publish it. But that was my second April Fool story rejection. My first one, they actually wrote back and said it was pretty funny, but they were afraid to print it because of liability. They assumed that somebody would misinterpret my article as a construction article and build the device and plug it in. So they said the liability issue was too great, but it was funny. But this time I think they didn't like it because they're just too stiff-necked up there. Make too much money, I don't know. But anyway, so I'm still my amateur weather forecasting. I've done pretty good, and I was just looking at several things at my disposal. And I'd say it's still hard to say, especially looking at the jet stream, the movement of the jet stream, and a couple other things out there. And it probably will snow. But if you look at all the numbers right there, especially the satellite view and the weather radar, not weather radar, but yeah, weather radar, and there's really nothing going on around here. It's all north of us. Not even in North Carolina. So we'll see what happens and see if it's actually going to come true or if they're going to miss it by a mile like they normally do. So many times around here. They usually get the weather right at the airport, though. So good to hear everybody this morning. And try and stay warm. And kerosene, $5.49 a gallon. That's how much it cost. $49.9, basically, $5.50 a gallon. So that was a little heart failure to me. I couldn't figure it out. When I paid for it for 5 gallons, you got to pay for it up front and then go pump it. And it didn't dawn on me, and then I looked up there and said, wait a minute, if I'm paying that much, which is $27 and some change, I said, that means more than $5 a gallon. And I couldn't read the numbers on the pump because it was so old, but I finally figured out. It said $5.49.9. So I think it has reached the point where an electric heater might be cheaper, a good electric heater. So we'll have to determine that. So good to hear everybody this morning. I'll say 73, but I'll listen to the end. N4QR in the group, W4MEC.
This is N4QR. Well, I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one who has received rejections of things that I wrote. I have had my letters to the editor published in about a dozen magazines, but whenever I write a serious article, they can't use it. So that's the way that goes. I don't know how I've been so lucky on getting the letters to the editor in these magazines in print, but that's the way it turned out. Well, this little homemade transmitter that I'm going to test out here in a little while, again, is on 3710, so we'll have to bump our receivers, I guess. Puts out about 13 watts. I had 3 QSOs on it before 6 o'clock this morning. I went Mississippi, Ohio, and North Carolina on it, and received some S9 reports, by the way, on its little 13-watt output setup. So, crystal control, of course, on this long wire antenna, 360 feet away. John, it's good to hear you again. KZ4B, N4QR.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, N4QR in the group. This is KZ4B. Fine business, Bob. I had, you're kind of down in the mud this morning. You're normally Q5, but my next door neighbor's battery charger is on the hunt. I had set my alarm this morning, and for 7 o'clock it went off, and I shut it off, rolled, just about missed the net. I was up pretty late last night watching the fires in California. I don't know why I stayed up as late as I did, but anyway, that's my excuse. It's just not a good one. And Charlie, when it comes to kerosene, I've got a kerosene heater that works quite well, but my problem with kerosene is worse than the price is the smell. So if I'm going to go for chemical heating, I'm going to go propane if I can at all stand it. And so there. And so right now I'm using highly expensive electric heat blowing on my legs here in the ham room. And so there. Thanks for calling the net, Steve. Sorry I missed most of it, but maybe I'll do better next time. I hope everybody stays dry and warm. I'm not real big on snow. Its appeal has worn off many, many moons ago. So, N4LQ and the group KZ4, be clear about listening.
Hey, Z4B, N4LQ. Okay, John. Yeah, I thought I smelled smoke. Yeah, well, all right. CW frequency is right here. In case anybody didn't know, we're just going to switch modes, and it's perfectly legal, and there's nobody else around us, so it won't bother anybody. And the CW has the unique ability to be notched out real easily with modern rigs, and a sideband interferes worse with it than vice versa. Bob will listen for you on 3710. I understand the crystal situation there, so that will be fine, and I think this HQ140 will pick you up just fine down there. So with that, I think we've reached the end of the net. Everybody's checked out, and appreciate everybody checking in. It's been a fun net, and we'll talk to you next time at 4 p.m. on Sunday, and of course every night on 1864 on 160. So this is N4LQ. Be back in a few minutes here with the CW net. 73s to everybody.